Joe Madden from SportsGrid. And Joe, good to see you again. We're all loving seeing your stuff with Stanley. You said we can talk about anything, but I don't want to catch you off guard. So I think you kind of know where I'm going here. Let's start with the Stanley Cup final because that's what everybody's ensconced in. And Tony from Cochrane writes in. And he says, hi, I'm not saying Florida threw Game 4, but the lack of physicality was certainly missing. The cup will be handed out on Tuesday after the Panthers put their big boy pants on. So the way this Stanley Cup final's gone, Joe, what are your thoughts?
Oh, the Florida Panthers, definitely the better team. You look at those first 3 games and how strong they were able to come out, Rod, and they really did outplay Edmonton on every front. But you look at that Game 4, and it was surprising to see 15 of the 18 skaters out for Edmonton were able to register at least a point out there. Connor McDavid showed up, Darnell Nurse. He played such a dirty game, and I knew as soon as he came out and put that hit on Sam Bennett, Rod, that game was going to go the way it did. Edmonton just came out with this different level of fire, and I was on air, and I had to really contain myself. I had to bite my tongue because the words that wanted to come out of my mouth and the words that I could actually say on air after that hit, and after it was only called a 2-minute minor for tripping, I was fuming, but I do think Florida is a better team. I do think they can close it out on their home ice. They wanted to close it out in Game 4, but there was something special about Edmonton in that game.
So is that because the Flames fan in you came out or what? Listen, I wasn't happy about it either. I want the Panthers to win this thing. But what had you fuming?
It was just that everyone in Edmonton is saying how the Florida Panthers are such a dirty team. And I'm so tired of hearing this because I think Edmonton is just as dirty. You look at Edmonton in those corners and Connor McDavid's getting those jabs and nothing ever gets called. It's almost like there's a bubble around Connor McDavid and you see these refs just not wanting to make those calls on him. And Edmonton fans are so convinced that Florida is the dirty team, that Matthew Tkachuk is the dirtiest player out there on the ice. And I just don't understand it because you look at how Darnell Nurse was playing in that game. You look at those hard hits that Edmonton put on them, that if that was on Connor McDavid instead of Sam Bennett in that one by Darnell Nurse, it would have been a difference maker. In that, Leon Draisaitl, everyone was wanting him suspended from Florida after that hit by Leon Draisaitl. It was a vicious hit out there. I'm just tired of hearing Edmonton fans saying that it's Florida that's dirty. And I'm also sick of hearing Gary Bettman is the reason why a Canadian team won't win. Edmonton already has their excuses in the books.
Joe, you woke up this morning and chose violence. You're Brock Lesnar coming out, kicking, punching, throwing. I like it. Well, and my thing, listen, there's a lot of reasons why you could be upset from Game 4. Like if it was a 5-minute major, which I don't think anybody would argue that it was a 5, Florida could have potted 2 and the game was over. So just don't tell me that officiating doesn't have a bearing on. Don't let officials tell you it doesn't have a bearing on games. And for somebody like you that's setting odds and that must drive you nuts when officiating is a fact.
Oh, absolutely. It does drive me nuts. And, there was a couple calls that didn't go against Florida in Game 3, and I completely understand people screaming from Edmonton about that. The refs need to be able to catch everything, but there's a human aspect in that as well, Rod. They can't catch everything in these games, but a hit like that by Darnell Nurse, that should have been a 5-minute major. That shouldn't have been a call where he only got 2 minutes for tripping. So stuff like that, it really gets under my collar. And yes, I chose violence when I'm talking about that because that game was so frustrating to me, Game 4. And you could tell after that first period that was done, Edmonton was going to get the win. But it was nice to see. For the Edmonton fans, I absolutely love the atmosphere and how strong they supported their team. So it was like open karaoke night in that third period. And how could Edmonton lose with Shania Twain in the building? It was a phenomenal environment for Edmonton fans.
I appreciated watching it too. I mean, it's just there's not really a rink anywhere like with the emotion. When the Oilers scored the first goal, people were jumping out of their seats, almost tumbling down a couple rows. That is impressive, but I still want Florida to win. Any thoughts on the way it goes from here before I switch to football?
Yeah, lots of people thinking that momentum will continue with the Edmonton Oilers, and I do think it will give them that build of confidence. But you look at the couple of days off here, the travel, Rod, and I think it will be a reset. I think the Florida Panthers will bring their best game. Their defense needs to lock down in this fifth game here, and I do think they have every ability to hoist the cup on their home ice. Selfishly, kind of want this to go back to Edmonton for game 6 because I have been invited up to game 6 and would love to see the Florida Panthers clinch it there, but I'm thinking it's going to finish here in 5. Bobrovsky, he'll be reset and he'll be ready.
Oh yeah, he doesn't have 2 bad ones in a row. Okay, so you do picks, betting, that's your thing. Are you with me that the CFL, like you've been doing a lot of CFL content, and it's been great because we love it. But these games have been bonkers. What's your take on the opening 2 weeks? They've been tight and close down to the final minute, but not predictable.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal games. We saw the Dogs take every single game in week 1, Rod, and then we look at week 2 kicking off, and the Ottawa Red Blacks in their first game, because they had a bye in week 1, were able to shut down the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That was absolutely baffling to me. Winnipeg 0-2 for the first time since 2016 to start this season. And then we look, and then the favorites started to cash. We saw Montreal get the win over Edmonton, BC get the win over Calgary, and Saskatchewan get the win over Hamilton. So the favorites did come back into play in this week. Phenomenal. But you look at some of the numbers. The quarterbacks have been able to pick up. Saskatchewan versus Hamilton. Trevor Harris, almost 400 passing yards. I believe he had 390 passing yards out there. The secondary of both Hamilton and Saskatchewan need to really pick up because Bo Levi had numbers in the 3s as well. Calgary, they need to protect that run. It's been a fantastic couple of weeks of the CFL. I'm so glad it's back, Rod. But you're right, it's been so unpredictable, especially that week 1. I couldn't believe all the Dogs were able to get the win.
It's been awesome, and I've loved it. And just lastly, you said you were invited to Edmonton for Game 6. You've invited me and Serena to the Stampede. Can I say that? Are you throwing a party? What do you got going on for the Cowtown fans? They're going to be there for the world's greatest outdoor show on earth. What's going on?
Yeah, super excited for the Stampede, Rod, and I hope you're able to come out and join me barbecuing for SportsGrid out there for the Cowboys tent. We will be barbecuing ribs all day. I believe it's July 11th, so full day event. The smokers will be going, and it's one of the biggest barbecue cook-offs in North America. So it's a lot of fun down right on the grounds, and yeah, get your cowboy hats, get your boots, and get ready to come cook, Rod. It's going to be fun.
I think I can find mine. I don't wear boots and a hat that often, Joe, but I don't think you do either. Thanks for this. Keep up the great work, and thanks for the time today, Joe.
Yeah, thank you. And every Stampede, the boots, the hats come out, and we're going. So looking forward to seeing you, Rod, this summer.
How about that?
Joe Madden from SportsGrid TV.